Welcome to the Reese Report. I'm the Malta North Andrew Reese. And as you can see, I have Kenyon, I have Beyond. And when I have Kenyon and Beyond, something has happened in the world of Raptorland. And guess what's happened? The inevitable, the sad. Um, there's a lot of different ways you can describe this. I'll let these two men describe it, but the inevitable has happened, and Pascal Siakam is no longer a Raptor. He has been traded to the Indiana Pacers. We will discuss our thoughts on what we got back and the circumstances surrounding what has happened throughout the show. But basically, Siakam has gone to the Pacers for Bruce Brown. Jordan, I'm going to say his name wrong, guys. Nora, I hope I said that right. And 3 first-round picks, 2 which are in this year's draft, and a 2026 first-rounder. These picks are going to be low. One of them is OKC's pick. They're first in the West, so you can imagine where that's going to be. And the Indiana Pacers, who are 22 and 15, are only going to get better. So we're talking low 20s here. Also in the deal is Kira Lewis and a second-round pick going back to New Orleans and cash considerations. Did I get that all right, guys?
Yeah.
So that's the deal. There are a lot of people that are not happy with this deal, calling it one of the worst trades in Raptor history. I'm not saying they're wrong. What I will say is, what did you expect? Considering the circumstances surrounding this deal, and I'll go into detail when it's my turn, but I like to let my guests speak first. Nobody should be surprised by this return. There is no team in the NBA that was going to give up a significant asset in a trade like this for many, many reasons, one of which were Siakam was not going to re-sign with the team he was getting traded to, and he was in the last year of his deal. So I will hand it over to the guys. This trade doesn't look good. It's a domino effect that I've talked about for years that started with the end of the 2020 season after the championship year. And from then on, the Raptors went on a steep decline, and the dominoes that happened that are too long to go over on this show caused the end of Pascal Siakam's career as a Raptor. Beyond, you are one of the biggest Pascal Siakam fans here. I have both huge Pascal Siakam fans here. What do you think of this deal, and why are we here today?
Oh, jeez. Why are we here today, boy? Talk about loaded question. Let
Yeah,
me pull
it's a
back.
long story.
Yeah, yeah, that one takes a little bit more than what made the time we got here today. But I'll say this:
Yes.
as far as the deal goes, you're absolutely correct. The Raptors had no leverage, and I think as time goes by now, and you remember all the different reports going on here, you kind of can start seeing the pattern now of what really was happening. I think all along, really, the team was Indiana that was trying to get him. And I think Masai and his squad were putting things out, trying to kind of build up Siakam's value with other teams. So first it was Sacramento. And Sacramento pretty much, I think Sacramento really wasn't playing the game and saying, we're just not give up Keegan Murray, so like, enough of this.
Yeah.
Then it was Golden State. And it was like, okay. And then Golden State said, listen, man, we're open, but we're not giving up Kaminga, any of this stuff, that is being leaked out there, which I suspect were coming from Raptor sources,
Yeah.
to try to build up the value because the team he really wanted to deal with all along, which would make sense. That party's right because we all agreed Indiana had the best opportunity to get the best potential players. But when it's all said and done, I mean, as much Raptor fans could talk about how great this deal was and stuff like that, he was working with a weak hand, to use a poker term. And I think when you look at what he ended up getting, I guess he salvaged something. To your point, the draft picks. I mean, everyone's going crazy with these draft picks. I mean, there's a reason why everyone's giving away 2024 draft picks, guys. All right? It's like
Not a good
coupons these
draft.
days here, man. Ain't no one really,
Yeah.
and it will be fascinating to see what he does with all these. Only the Raptors will have 4 draft picks that are drafted no one really wants to draft it. 4.
Yeah.
Potentially 3, we'll see, but 4 at the moment. And I think it's one of those things where it's going to be interesting to see how he parlays these draft picks. Because, I mean, Kenny and I were talking about this offline. Is like, how do you, like, it's hard to give 2 of these away for someone that wants it. Who's the team that wants to have multiple draft picks in this draft?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be trying to get multiple draft picks off in this case to get out of it if they can. As you said before, OKC is the likeliest target. Even if it's not, it might be the Clippers. So good luck to you. Um,
Yeah.
so from that standpoint, and then you look at it, Bruce Bow, keep on Bruce Bowen, Bruce Brown. In this case here, he's played for the Spurs at one point. Bruce Brown. He played for Spurs. No, okay. His
No.
game,
No, no.
his game, yeah.
Detroit, the Nets, the Nuggets, and
I don't
Indiana,
know.
and
Yeah, maybe because there's not too many Bruces these days, and he's
no.
one of the few still back. Unless
Yes.
we're reading comic
Yes.
books.
Yes.
But he's not going to be here for long. I don't think. And then the other two guys
No.
are just deep bench players at best. So you really count on the picks, and the picks, who knows what that might be. So I think, if you want to say it's great because we actually got something for him, if that's the goal, then great, you won the goal. You got something for him. But if you told me in this case here, you gave me a bad dish and say, "Well, I did cook you something." Yeah, it's a meal, but if it's a lousy meal, it's a lousy meal. That's my
Yeah,
thoughts on it.
they made this deal 1 or 2 years too late, guys. The draft to do this in was last year's draft. You can see the amount of talent that has been effective in this recent draft. There's been many, many players that have been NBA players right at the start. This year was not the year to do it. Go ahead, Bjorn.
No, I just want to say, man, and props to my Indiana's for officer staying patient with this. Because if you had to tell me even like a week ago that they would not have to give away Walker, Matherin, um, Nemhard,
Smith.
Smith, and the real kicker in all this that surprised me, they didn't have to give up Buddy Hield. That's the part that surprised me. Like, it's like,
Nope.
dang, I thought at least they want to move off the contract. They're like, nah, we good. We ain't giving that up either. It's like that's the one that stuck out to me. I get the young players, but I figure they want to move off of some money to clear some money and help out with the Siakam situation and stuff like that. And at least for me, potentially free agents later on, they're like, nah, we'll ride this out, man. We're gonna eat this money for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Kenyon, you and I had a
Uh,
conversation after the OG trade, and this is how it went. Will we apologize to Masai now? And we both said no. Now I will ask, as you give your thoughts on this trade to all the Raptor fans out there, are you taking the apology back? Or should you have apologized at
I should
all?
ask you, do you think?
I think that's the right question. I don't think he
Have you
apologized at all, buddy.
I ain't apologized for
apologized at
nothing.
all?
Exactly.
No.
He apologizes for squad. Give me a break.
No.
Kenyon, what are your thoughts on this deal that is the result of a massive amount of dominoes that I will only go through the recent ones as we go through this.
Well, job's not finished, as
No.
Kobe Bryant would say. And it's not. I mean, we have more players in roster spots, so we need to balance that out and see what happens. When that happens, I will give my full-fledged opinions, but my like currently, just off the cuff, I want to tell people I told you so. Like I said, it's not going to be a great deal if he deals him, which is why I suggested not to deal him. I know some people are saying this is a really great deal. Given the circumstances, that is called copium. Really good drug. Really helps people to
Yeah.
get through a lot of things. Stay off of it as much as possible and live in reality. I did say the day before the draft, I said, or the trade, I said, one thing that will soften the blow is getting a 2026 pick. We got a 2026 pick, which is good. I'm not going to say whether this is a weak draft or not. What I will say is it is a flatter draft. So you will see talent that will be going all over the place in this draft.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of trades.
Sorry?
There's gonna be a lot of trades. Yeah.
There might be, but just in terms of where talent is going and where talent has been in the draft, you're not
Right.
seeing tiers. There is some tiers, but you're not seeing the
Right.
tiers really truly solidify just yet, like you
Yes.
were in previous years. There is going to be some role player talent, but I don't know if we need three or four role players who are just coming onto this team all at once, trying to not be role players. Because when people come into the NBA, they're not trying to be role players. So just from that standpoint, I think again, it's hard to know. Could we get someone really good? We could, but also, as I say to all people, because I hear people flip up, on one guy or another guy from game to game. It takes time to develop players. That includes Scotty Barnes. So just be patient with the players that come onto this team specifically. But that doesn't excuse the front office. We did draft a guy who was famous for being in a Speedo and Bruno Caboclo. So it could easily go that way as well. Um,
As well as Malachi Flynn or Desmond Bain, like the dominoes. I could go
Yeah,
on
I
forever.
know that everyone wants to focus on those. Trust me, there's plenty more to focus on. I think I know probably besides history more than most people, more
Yeah.
than I'd like to know. So I won't relitigate his history right now. But I commonly check people when they try to find ways to make me apologize. I ain't apologizing. I'll leave it at
No,
that.
no, Masai screwed this up, guys. He waited too long to trade his biggest asset. Simple as that. If you had there were if you weren't going to trade him, then you should have or you weren't going to resign him, I should say. You should have traded him 2 years ago or at least a year ago. They made the same mistake with Fred VanVleet. He left for nothing, and he didn't want to make the same mistake with Pascal, and at least he got
Okay,
something. Yes.
let me give you something here, Reese. Let me give you an alternate universe of what could have happened. This is when you're actually a grown up.
Mhm.
To your point, if you weren't planning to sign him, you say, here's my number. We really are not likely to move off this number, right? We're not here and they want to keep it at 30% of the cap. Fine. That's your prerogative to do so. But this is what grown men and women do in this case, in these circumstances. Look, man, we've had a great relationship with each other. I want to make sure you get to a nice place in this case here and can kind of continue to kind of build your career that is looking great right now and hopefully get the best that you want in this case from a compensation standpoint. What can we do to help you? It's not going to work out here. This is where all the folks that want the list, this is where the list happens, right? Because if you actually talk to individuals like human beings up front instead of cut them off in this case, like you're a 6-year-old having a little temper tantrum, then you don't end up like where we are tonight. Because if you had done that in the summertime and said, hey man, we've tried a couple different ways, we're at impasse. This is what it's gonna be. Let's try to work out some way to get you where you want to go, to what you want to achieve. Then hey folks, the list comes out then. And that's how you work out a deal with everybody involved. The new team's happy because they're gonna sign him for the money he wants. He's happy because he's going to a place he wants to go to and gets his money. And you're happy because in this case, you might actually get something half decent for it. But no,
Yeah.
not this petulant bunch. They want to go out there, they want to go out here, passing this, just doing this to folks. And then they're shot in this case when they're here on this date in this case here, groveling for anyone to take them at this point here. And folks are here, I'll give, just throwing out dimes and quarters to you. It's like, yeah, I'll give you a couple, picks here and a
I
bunch
have
of bench
yeah,
players.
yeah. I have never ever in my life seen a player of Pascal Siakam's caliber. And when I say that, guys, he was a two-time All NBA player, treated the way that this man was treated. This started a long time ago, but I'll go into this year. Like in the summertime, they tried to move him. Okay. We all know about the Atlanta deals. And Siakam basically said, look, I want to try to be all NBA or I want to control where I go. So I'm not going to sign with any team you trade me to. That led to Masai saying he's selfish in a presser. And we're not going to be about selfish agendas, which was directly after someone asked him about Pascal Siakam. That's when the divides happened and when they went their separate ways after all the other stuff that had already happened. At that point, when they hired Darko, it was very clear the message was we're going to go run things through Scotty and we're going to be a passing basketball team, no more ISO ball. And if you look at the first 10 games of the season, Pascal Siakam was completely frozen out of the offense on purpose. So he could not achieve all NBA and get the supermax. After that, Pascal, as me and you have noted before, Beyond, he just said enough's enough. I'm going to average my 22, no matter whether you like it or not, and win some games by myself, which he did to make myself look good. But the divide has been there for quite some time, and the personal attack shots happened. And when you do that, there's not only does the value lower on the player, But teams are looking at that saying, we don't have to give up anything to get this guy. And when he does come here, he's going to turn into Vince Carter when he played for the Nets.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, right now, I was gonna hold this back. Well, obviously a basketball rewind, but I just put it this way: there's a scenario where Pascal might be in Indiana in this case over the All Star break. I'll just put it that way. I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. Since they're likely not gonna have a representative in the hometown, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That scenario is possible.
Oh my God.
I'm not
I
saying
forgot it's in Indiana.
yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
I forgot
Halliburton is
about
going to
that.
miss the
Yeah. The
games.
NBA
Yeah.
usually does not like having the hometown squad not have a representative. And since the
That
guy
is true.
supposed to be the representative is likely not going to be there in time.
It was in Utah last year, and
Yes,
Laurie was
Yes.
there, and then the
Yes,
year
he was.
before, that's why Allen got it over
over
Siakam,
Siakam.
and then I did no Siakam was a reserve.
For
He was
somebody else that
replaced.
got hurt later on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
was a
saying,
replacement. Yeah.
if you're in Indianapolis and you want a hometown guy there, in this case, as a jersey thing, if Halliburton's not back, I was going to give this review on Basketball Rewind. I would also put it on there to say so. There is a scenario playing out right now for next.
There's another scenario that might play out, which will be very interesting.
Yes, quite possible.
Because of his career, and it's not just that the award at the end of the season. It's how, because keep in mind, every time he's gotten the award, he's been an All-Star reserve.
Yes,
If I'm not mistaken, he's never been a starter for the All-Star team.
Correct.
When he has had that award.
Well, hey, 1 year he didn't even make the All Star team.
Yes,
Because
and he got
the award. That's
yes.
all I'm
That's
saying.
actually the same. That's the same thing that happened last time too,
Yeah.
when Fred.
He came back from the injury. Yeah,
Right.
and I think there was debate if he could make the All Star team, and there's a lot of stuff going back and forth.
That was actually I was wrong. That was the Allen year.
That was the Allen year. Yeah,
Because he should have actually been. Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, there is a scenario. Let's put it that way. I mean, what 3 weeks before the All Star game?
Yep.
Well, yeah.
It's a
He's
long
definitely not
time.
getting voted in. It's too late for that. I'll tell you that.
No,
No.
the voting won't happen. I mean but there. I mean, as I said before, the NBA tends to like to make sure the hometown's got some
Is represented. Yeah.
Yes.
That would be absolutely amazing if he ends up going in as a Pacer. That's just hilarious.
It would stick it to a lot of people. I'll say that. A lot of people won't be happy about that.
So this trade's been done. It was an awful trade, but a trade that was going to be what it was and had to be done because they had to get something for their All NBA legend. Let's face it, he's a legend of the team. And what does this mean going forward for the Raptors? I think it's going to be very dark days, despite what happened tonight. We were recording this after the Raptors absolutely destroyed the Miami Heat and set a record for three-pointers on the year, which I did not see coming, but we won't go into too much detail about. I'll leave that to Basketball Rewind on Sunday. But what does this mean for the team going forward? I like our young pieces, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, there has to be some more moves, and I don't think Gary Trent's here for long. So, dark days are ahead. No?
I'll let Kenyon start with this one.
Yes. Go ahead, Kenyon.
Well, we'll see. We'll that's what I'll say. To be determined. It's very possible. I will say this for this specific year. I do not think that they made this trade as much as they didn't get the return that they wanted to. I don't think that they're purposefully trying to tank. I do think that they are. I mean, you saw how Darko was coaching today, so they will do their best this year. In terms of coming back up after this year and how do they end up doing? It's also hard to say. You never know, but I will be honest, it's usually not going to go the way that people think. So to me, I think it's going to be a little bit longer than just a up and down, in and out of lottery territory. But I'll I won't expand too much on that because again, there's still a trade that needs to be done to balance the roster or a waiving.
Yes. Beyond the worst thing you can be in the NBA is in the middle. Is that where the Raptors are heading, or are they going to be a team that's just below the play-in trying to get into eighth?
My first thing with the middle discussion, I'm not sure if it's that bad to be in the middle. It just depends on how you develop your roster to be flexible to make moves when you're in the middle. I think sometimes people just assume that's the case. I think that is the case more so in say something like baseball, but I'm not sure in basketball is the case where you have more playoff opportunities. Um, as for your second question, there's so much still left to be done on this team that it's hard to judge where this team. I mean, there's such an off balance right now on the roster right now. It's funny.
Yeah,
We started the year. We start a year ago or less than a year ago. We had no guards. All right. And now we got guards that you can shake a stick at. Now we got more guards we can know what to do with at this point. It's
yeah,
amazing how that happened in less than like 4 months. And now it's
yeah.
like we don't have enough front court players at this point. So um, the way the team is constructed as of tonight, I I mean they look fantastic tonight, but I mean sometimes that's usually just a residue sometimes. So folks,
Yeah.
before the ticker tape parade starts, slow it down a little bit. But I think yeah, I'll say they'll be in the mix for the play in because right now the guys they got to fight for, they ain't much better right now. We got Atlanta here with Trey here doing confessionals. We got Brooklyn pretty much just take and try not to take, but still doing a pretty damn good job of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is really the children, the sisters of the poor here fighting amongst each other for these final spots.
One last thing before we go, because I like to pick on people that pick on my friends on Twitter. Beyond, is Scotty ready?
Scotty, ready? That is
He's
the
gone.
no,
Pascal's gone. It's
you know
Scotty's
what?
team now.
This is going to be the interesting part. This is what the experiment's going to be about, right? Exactly, because that is the question I've been asking for almost 2.5 years. What is Scotty, right? So
Yeah.
we are now fully going to get the chance, get the full experiment to find out what Scotty is. With all whatever the quote distractions are now removed, we will get the chance now to see what type of player he will be, and I think that's going to be the interesting part. So right now, I would say incomplete. We don't know.
No, nobody knows. And I think their trajectory is banking on his development and how good he actually gets, I think. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yes, but it's not just his trajectory. There's a few other elements involved that I think.
Yeah. IQ, Grady Dick, for example. There's a lot of
Yeah,
players that have to
yeah,
grow with him. Yes.
for sure. I mean, if Koloko ever has like, hopefully,
Coloco.
really lungs going forward, like, there's a lot of elements involved with this. Obviously, he's one of the biggest ones, but yeah, there's gonna be it's gonna be fascinating to watch. So we'll see, man. That part is the exciting part because it's the unknown.
Kenyon, is Scotty ready to lead this team into the promised land?
Well, see, that's what I was gonna ask you. What do you mean lead this team? Because it's like there's levels, right? Like if you're talking
Play
about,
it, man. Play it.
yeah, like if you're talking about to the plan, that's one thing. If you're talking about to like the promised land, like are we gonna be competing next year? Like probably not.
No,
No
no.
offense to
Like,
Scotty.
is he going to get better now that Siakam's gone?
Oh, it means he was going to get better either way. It's just how much better, and is
Yeah,
that going to be enough? So, for
right.
example, say best case scenario, he's All NBA next year. That's a huge leap, by the way, people, because
Yes.
it's it's one thing to go from mediocre to good, then good to great, and then you know what I mean. So there's and then each leap is exponentially harder and harder to make, and so. Um, some people perceive it as me hating Scotty, and that's not necessarily where it's coming from. It's more like I'm trying to say that growth is not linear, and this is extremely difficult to be good in this league, let alone great, let alone be a true, not just from like random analytics, but like truly a top 15 guy where you're actually getting the votes. Because without the wins, you're not going to get the votes. You're not going to get the
Absolutely correct.
recognition.
Yeah.
Um, and so um here's another thing. If he's really really good, say he is eligible for all NBA, because of how the supermax and rookie scale stuff works, how does this front office treat him? Do they make him miss a couple extra games or something? I'm not sure.
Yes. Yes.
That'll be interesting. I really think, I know this is not the discussion of your thing, but the players messed up with that negotiation.
They did.
Hard, big time.
They did. Yeah.
Should have uncoupled those things for a lot of reasons, and they probably will in the future. But yeah, I just think, obviously the short answer is, no, but I think people just need to be patient with what he is. But I also think that it's fair now to, throughout this time to start critiquing him without getting all the flack that you get for critiquing him. As long as you're doing it from a place of that's not malice, because I think from other standpoints, there's a lot of people that would critique other players on this team from a place of malice.
Yes.
You see it with, certain people throughout whatever platforms it is, and that's not really where you should be coming from.
Right.
Yeah, beyond it's time. It's year 3. All the players that were in his way are gone. It's time. It's time to see what he is and what he's going to be. And for those out there who don't understand, there's a lot of people that just put, he's had this 10-game stretch. He's an all-star. He's all NBA. He's a future franchise player. It doesn't work that way, guys. You need real long consistency to be an all NBA player, and you need winning. And that's why Pascal was a 2-time all NBA player. Scotty's not there yet. Beyond, what do you think?
No, I think, what you and Kenya said, is on the mark. I mean, if you're going to be the franchise player, you can't have it all one way, well, all the accolades in this case on one side, and then not get the critiques when things don't work out right. That's been the rule as far as I know for any sport, right? Like, it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. If you're like the dude or one of the key dudes, and you ain't, whatever the case may be, and things are not working out right, you're usually the first person everyone's looking to, like, yo, what's up? No one's looking for the 10th guy on the bench.
Exactly.
Or the 6th man. They're looking at you. So
Yeah.
I've never shied away from critiquing him now or then or in the future, because I look at it this way, man. You're a key part of this team either way, whatever role you are playing. It wasn't, and the thing with him was, unlike other rookies, when the arguments being made, like, oh, he's this young and stuff like that, unlike other rookies that have been in the recent times where they've come up as, like, 6th man, this and that. Sky was starting getting 30, 35 minutes a game from day one.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like he was coming along slowly like your boy Grady. Where it's like,
Yeah.
give him some time, and guys want to run Grady out the league after like 15 games. Like, well, hold on 1 second. Playing like 8 minutes a night, at best some nights. No, this guy's getting 30, 35 minutes starting with the top players on his team. So, like, no, I should have more expectation for you. So, no, I don't think so. And I think this is the part that's going to get very interesting. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what this looks like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say the other thing, too, is that people have to remember for the following years, there are other players in the East that are from the same draft class that are pretty darn good. And those teams are more well built currently in terms of, filling out their roster. So, I'll just name one team. I won't go through the whole list, but teams like the Orlando Magic with those 2 young guys, those are going to be the people that, this team it can't just be the Scotty show. It needs to be a lot of people in this team needs to step up with the absence. I'm not saying that they won't. I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of it's a lot of improvement that's needed, because those teams are going to be improving as well. I have a question really quickly. I know it's your show. I'm sorry, but
No problem.
Real quick question, which is this: it's a 2-part question. Who's got the most flack in the league from a media standpoint overall?
Are you talking about the entire league?
Yeah.
There are 2 players that come to mind right away. Anthony Davis. 3 players. Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook.
Let's say
Kyrie
the past
Irving.
5 years.
Well, Westbrook has been Westbrook.
I think it's
Davis.
LeBron.
LeBron? Yeah,
it's definitely LeBron.
Yeah, but LeBron gets praise along with it. Whereas,
Sure.
like, Westbrook, Davis, and Kyrie have been getting killed, like, for years.
Remember, every single time for years and years and years, we've been talking about LeBron versus Jordan, blah, 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 all these things, right?
Yeah.
That's what it means to be the face of the league.
Oh, yes.
That's the point that I'm trying to get to.
Oh
So to
God.
be that, you have to be able, and your fans have to be willing to be able to withstand that level of critique day in and day out. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. I, again, preach patience. That's all.
I don't understand why Darko would put that target on his head. I know he was mad. I understand he was mad, but face of the league, like the poor guy, they made a mockery of him. Well, we got about 6 minutes left. Beyond face of the league.
Sorry.
Oh man, you
And I'm not trying to diss him, by the way. I'm not, I really am not trying to diss him. I'm just
drop that one
saying,
on
like,
me. Oh, you know what? Let me change it. Let me shift it this way, man. I guess let me. I think what just I don't want to get too much into tonight's game, but overall, I don't know. It's hard to say what's sustainable for what we saw tonight. The ball movement, but the ball movement's been good all year, right? I know a lot of people probably
Yeah.
be on Twitter and all everywhere else today saying, "Oh, look at the ball movement and spacing." And my thing would be is like we've been in the top five pretty much most of the year when it comes to assists and stuff like that. So like this is nothing new. It looked great tonight because probably even more so because he even had more shooters out there. I think what's been interesting overall is to your point. I think we mentioned Porter a little bit, but it's gonna be intriguing where he fits into this team after all these trades are done. Because he's
Yeah.
a guy that's gonna be hard pressed to send him back down.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he fits from a roster standpoint with the numbers, but in my mind, he's got a slot. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
what he is, the second center, the third center, but playing power forward, but he's got a slot. You gotta find a slot for this guy.
Yeah.
And I think
they'll be cheap, though.
oh
They'll
yeah,
keep him on a two-way as long as possible.
they're gonna
Oh
drag it
man.
out on the poor
They're
fella,
gonna
man.
Jeff
Like,
Doughton him, eh? Oh
he's
boy.
yeah,
And that's why I keep telling people I don't know if when people say that this front office respects their players,
right.
remember Jeff Doughton.
Jeff Doughton got done
Yes,
dirty.
he
I
did.
mean, there's a reason why Delano Banton, who's a hometown kid, say, you know what, I'm straight. I'll head to Boston. Think about that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't even give it a shot and say, you know what, I see how this thing's playing out. I'm out. So, yeah, I am curious. Like the Liberty Freeman guy, man, I thought he'd get a little more of a run. He's pretty much out there just to go and hold the ball for a few seconds at the end of the game. It's like, really?
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so as far as Porter goes, I hope he gets opportunity to be here long term because I literally like he's just fundamentally sound and he can shoot, which is great,
Yes.
and he can rebound well too. He's got a different build than all the other Raptors, which is something that we need, man. He's got a little girth to him, and sometimes you
Yeah.
just need a little jam and a little girth, man. We don't have a lot of that on our team.
No.
Everybody here is like they should be like having they're vegans or something. Everyone looking smooth and looking all swell and stuff like that. So you
Let's
got
hope
some
so.
news.
Yeah.
Sorry, apparently there's a presser tomorrow,
Oh boy. Well, that'll
and
be
and
interesting.
and both are speaking.
Oh wow, he's back. He's back from the Africa basketball thing. Okay. Well, I
And
guess we get
France,
to hear
yeah.
from him.
France,
Yes.
this should be
Yes.
boy, oh boy. So what's the over under? How many times he sticks his foot in his mouth?
Um,
Two.
at least once. He'll do the respect thing over and over and over again, but he will do it at least once for sure.
Will questions be allowed for this press conference? Will
Ooh, that's a good.
they
That's
still want the opportunity for the peasants to be able to ask questions, or what?
I don't
that's
know,
very
man.
interesting. That's very interesting.
Hashtag
I don't
trust.
know.
I will
Yeah,
say this
trust.
much: this is the public relations part that I think he's even realized that he's screwed up, right?
Yes.
Because let's face it, his beloved OG, he didn't do a press conference for OG's trade,
No.
right? His beloved OG, he wanted all these OGs, right? He's begging for OG to stay. OG's like, I'm good. Please stay.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Please, please, please stay. No, I'm good. And finally he gave up. He's like, okay, OG, you really don't want to stay? No, I don't want to stay. Good. But he screwed up so badly from the PR standpoint, you got to be out here to clean this up. Because he knows in this
Yeah.
case what he had to do. And in this case here, if nothing else, at least they got enough goddamn sense to realize that much tonight.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah, he
think that
can't
they
say
sell it
nothing.
as a rebuild, or do you think that they sell?
No,
I
me
think it's
too.
going to be
Me
it's
too.
going to be a two-parter. It's going to be first thing to thank Pascal for his service with the Raptors and blah, 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 all that crap.
Sure.
Right? All that crap, right? Because they say, hey, we did our due diligence, blah, blah, blah. He's wonderful and stuff like that. Because he already done stink up so many times when it comes to Siakam. That's the first thing. Clean up on aisle 5. The part 2 now will be now like, hey, man, we got this new shiny car over here. Come over to the lot and check it out. right?
Bruce Brown.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's got to sell this part right now because you just left like a Raptor legend out the door and it ain't much coming back in this case here. And
That's
already,
part of why I think Bruce Brown's here to stay until the end of the season, at least.
oh yeah, he got to make something. He got to have someone on court that actually could do something to say, hey man, look, you got him for Pascal. Because if he had to flip him for another project with the two dudes coming here, I ain't saying Vince Carter special, but it starts looking a little rough.
Yeah. I mean, if Bruce Brown stays, Grady Dick may not see the floor the rest of the year. He's making $23 million. I would expect him and or Gary to be flipped, but
Well, I hope
we shall
Gary
see.
and maybe Boucher get flipped for a big. Like, please
Yeah.
give me a big. At least you got enough
Yeah.
common sense to do that.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're doing a presser tomorrow, I find that alone as the action fascinating because they don't do anything unless they're reacting to something. So they definitely know something in the water. The milk ain't right in this case here, and they come out here to try to see if they can clean things up. Knowing them, they're gonna probably make a bigger mess. You have to get another mop to clean up the next mess. But we'll be there with bated breath to see what they have to say 24 hours from now.
Yeah, we shall see. We have under a minute left. I'd like to thank Beyond and Hopeful for coming on. I do think Porter's earned a spot, and I hope he gets the backup spot until Coloco's back. But we'll talk about that at a later time. Until then, I'm the mouth of North Andrew Reese. That is Hopeful and Beyond the Locker Room. I will see you next week or next time on the Reese Report.